Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kafui Doris Ansen-Yugu. I'm the founder and product lead of kraado. It's a pleasure to have you all here for another wonderful kraado Learn session. I have a team member who is Victor Nietzsche. Victor is one of the community managers, and there's Stefan. Stefan will not be able to join us today, but we have everything under control, and it's going to be an exciting event. So today's topic is accounting beyond the classroom. But you can find us on social media, our handles, the same name as kraado. And then on Twitter, you'll see kraado_x. What is kraado about? Kraado is a gamified program for university students and recent graduates to accumulate points by working on projects within startups through internships, volunteer roles, and kraado Learn activities, and then coaching. We recently launched a coaching program for graduates and then university students to be able to build them up so that they can be better at what they studied in school, so they can apply that knowledge in the work environment. So that's the reason why we have wonderful guest Juliet to lead a session today on accounting beyond the classroom. Because you can do accounting in the classroom, but if you have to apply in the work environment, it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm very much excited to have Juliet with us. And about Juliet. Juliet is going to do a quick introduction of herself, and then we go straight into the details. Juliet, please, this is your turn to talk and give us more details about your exciting experience as an accounting student to now being a taxation expert. So over to you, Juliet.
Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for building such a community to give platform to both students and facilitators to change minds and as well as create lasting impacts on the students and those who are also in the industry who wants to know more, add more to their portfolio. So just a quick one, I'm Juliet Ahiagbede. My name is on the screen, a chartered accountant and a tax practitioner. I've done audit for 6 years of my career after school, and now I'm into tax consultancy. I'm enjoying the tax consultancy, trust me, because I think because it's an appreciation of the law. You're not a lawyer, but it makes you feel like you're a lawyer. So I think probably that's what makes it exciting. And I'm a business coach as well. So I have a company called Set It Right Consult, where we help businesses start off the right way by offering them a business registration advice, financial advisory, tax consultancy, and educating them in their regulatory environment, as well as conducting market research for external companies who are outside the country who want to come and create probably a joint venture or start a business in Ghana. So in summary, that is what I do. If I am not auditing, I am consulting. So basically that is it. That's Juliet. Okay. And I'm your speaker for today.
Thank you, Juliet, for the wonderful intro. We will definitely ask you more questions about how you got into this career, and you also get to share with us some insights. So just hang on there. We want to go straight into the presentation, which is the topic on accounting beyond the classroom. So
okay,
let's over to you.
I'm sharing my Thank you. Okay, I hope I'm in the presentation mode.
Yes, you are.
Can you see my screen?
Almost loading. At least for me, it's almost loading.
Okay, so I think let's do like a 1 minute. Let's see if I want to get feedback from everybody if they can see the screen. So if you can see the screen, kindly unmute yourself and let me know you can see my screen. Okay. Kafri, is it in now?
Yes, I see. Yeah. I wasn't seeing the screen because I pinned you. because of the
Oh,
recording. Yes, but now I
Oh,
can
I
also.
can see the screen.
okay. Thank you very much. So today our topic is accounting beyond the classroom. Why accounting beyond the classroom? If you happen to be in the accounting spectrum or the finance field or as an accounting student, there are things that you are taught in the classroom or what we call your expectation. They let you have a view of what the industry expects of you when you come out as a student. And then we have the industry expectation of what they think as an accountant you should do or you should be able to do. So there's what we call the expectational gap between industry and what is taught or the theory we do in class as well. So today I'm here to bridge the gap or to let you appreciate the classroom and the industry practice as well and share my experience on this journey as well with you. So let's dig in. Okay. So normally when you are into accounting in school, um, your expectation is okay, when I graduate, I want to work in an account office. If you are taking the degree path, you don't qualify to be called an accountant yet. So normally if you get employed, you are maybe hired as a finance officer or something of a sort. But I'm here to tell you today that if you study accounting in school, we have different career paths you can take aside working in an account office. I'm sharing this because if you know the other avenues that are available to you, then it also tailors your sorry, your application or your job search where you can seek for employment for. You don't narrow yourself to only the white collar or the office jobs that normally we go after, which there's an influx, okay? Influx of accounting students on the market. Getting this accounting or you say I want to work in an account office or a company's account office. It's been difficult these days. So if you know the avenues available to you as an account student, then you can also stretch your wings and try the various sectors of this field of accounting. So going in, when you do accounting in school, you have the chance of, not today, you have the chance of working as an auditor. So you may not be a chartered accountant. Normally, those who are auditors or are called auditors or defined by the ICA is that they have to finish all the exams of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. And preferably, if you want to sign on account, then you have to have what we call a practicing license. However, we have what we call audit associates or assurance associates in audit firms. So as an accounting student, you can find yourself in an audit firm. That's if you are not qualified. If you are qualified to, you can find yourself in an audit firm after school. The other side is taxation. You can work on a company's tax issues. So when you're applying for job or you're looking for job and you see that people are um, um, looking for tax people to handle the taxes in their department. You see, tax is a very dicey area because it has to do with the law, the tax laws of the country. So you want to be sure you are very versed in the tax laws so you don't go and disgrace yourself. And also the tax laws change as in each and every time or as and when the budget is read. So you want to be well versed with the law or know your current rate before you apply for such jobs. Unless, of course, you are a certified tax practitioner, then everybody is expecting you to know what you are supposed to do in this area. And we have the financial accounting. This we are all familiar with account office, where you either get to work on payables or receivables, or you still have people who work on tax within the account office. We have the budget officers and we have the payroll officers. You can also go into consulting, where you work with SMEs and provide them with advice on how to handle their finances, as well as how to manage their books. So you are looking at bookkeeping services. So if you're going to be an accounting student, pre or post, another entrepreneurship window you can exploit is to be keeping books for businesses who cannot afford to hire an accountant on a normal day, and probably be charging them, have you on retainer and be paying some amount of money at the end of the month. You don't have to be in their office. You have to work remotely when it's needed. You pass by their office. And so I'll link the entrepreneurship. Okay, let me not limit myself and link the entrepreneurship with the consulting. So entrepreneurship will mean you can also find yourself running your own business. And what it means is that you would use the knowledge you have acquired in school, and that's in managing your accounts and managing your finances to run your own business. Then we talk about management accounting. Every accounting student studies what we call management accounting. So this has to do with costing, um, the costing part of an organization, pricing, the use of material, make or buy decisions. So you can also find yourself in management accounting. Then we have what we call financial planning. Financial planning has to do with helping a company plan its finances, whether they should use debt, whether they should use equity, or what other sources of finances are available to them. So you can find yourself in the public sector as well. And you can also take up general administration jobs. And sometimes you would have to start with a non-related accounting job. So I want you to be as open as possible, because I know that there's a lot of accounting students, both graduates and those who are in school, those who are qualified, those who are out of jobs. There's an influx. So you have to position yourself in such a way that if they are picking someone, you are the one they'll be looking out for. So I don't advise you as a student to say, okay, me, dear, I don't like tax, so, or I don't like audit. Don't limit yourself. Yes, it may be difficult. Yes, some of the subjects or topics, you may not like it, but I would advise you are as open-minded as possible so that you can attain the necessary knowledge in these fields. So that when you find yourself out there and you don't get to work in an area where it's your favorite subject, you can equally be of use in the other sectors of the accounting spectrum. That being said, I would want to talk to the audience, or the people who have joined us, which of these branches they would like to work in after school, or maybe those who are out of school and they want to exploit. So I want to hear from the audience, if I can say that.
Yes, I think this is the opportunity you have now to ask questions and engage. So please feel free to turn on your mic and engage with our guests.
Yeah, because from what I've said so far, you can ask me anything. Maybe something came in your mind, or you would want an enlightenment on something. You can bring it on board before we move on, because I want it to be as interactive as possible. I don't want to lecture. I'm not lecturing. So let me see if I can mention some names. Prince.
Yes, please.
From what I've said so far, what inputs do you have for us?
Well, I'm a banking and finance student, so when I saw the topic, it just interested me, and I'm planning of transiting from banking to finance. So I just want to major in finance. So finance to us is very broad, as I already know. And I'm in my final year, so I just want to know more. And how do I
Oh,
translate very well? Because in Ghana, I know there is no association as to chartered here, but we have Chartered Finance Association, and which I know CFA. But
okay.
with CA, I want to really know how best I can fit in from a banking finance to a finance background. Actually, I'm a CA student, and I want to
Okay.
take my papers right after school, but I just really want to know more about what the finance world hold for me and what the accounting also hold for me, but dropping the banking aside. So I just really want to know more, throwing more light on the finance related jobs in Ghana and how best I want to position myself.
Okay. So with the finance, you can go on with the CA as well, because we do rigorous finance in the Institute of Chartered Accountants. At my time, we did what we call Financial Management 1 and Advanced Financial Management. These courses go in depth, okay, on financial or finance tools on the market. So with the finance, you are also veering a little bit towards, it's either you can remain in the banking, from the conversation you're having, you want to move from the banking. So with the finance, what happens, you're going to find yourself in managerial levels where you be advising management on the finance, the types or the sources of finance available to them, and which one makes the best economic decision, or which one is cost saving, or depending on the ownership structures of the company. You can also advise management which type of finance will be more suitable. So you can be a capital consultant, um, and that is also open. You can also be into risk management. If you are into finance, you are also looking at managing risks, either in the banks or outside the banks. Because aside the bank, we have other non-financial or financial institutions out there. We have the brokerage firms, we have the insurance firms, and now risks is a very major area because of um, corporate governance issues. People are taking more interest in risk management. So if you are into finance, another area you can also look at is the risk area. Then you have the opportunity to also work in a typical organization in an account department. And with the finance, I see you in more of the financial management side in the a typical account section. So
So,
there are a lot of avenues. So you can start with the CA and maybe do an MBA in finance, or you can do the CFA right away. So whichever your finances can meet at the present moment, I think you are good to go.
I'm, I'm thinking of also getting into this five, is it four big firms, the Deloitte, the KPMG, and what would take a newly fresh graduate. I mean, when I'm done within my 1 year to get into those big firms, what would be the aside CA? What are some of the skills that I'm supposed to acquire as I nearly finish within this year? As I nail to finish this year, what would make me? What skills would I need to join this four big firms?
Okay, so I remember when I qualified, I happened to start in an audit firm. I didn't remember having any specialized skills. What made me enter, or what made them pick me, was I think that year I was the best student in taxation. Normally, they are after fresh graduates to train, so they don't concentrate so much on the skills you possess. They are looking at, okay, have you qualified? Yes, or are you partly qualified? If you're able to pass their aptitude test or their entry requirements, you are good to go. Because when you go, it's a totally fresh environment. Mind you, you think you don't know anything. And this audit firm has different departments. So in an audit firm, you have an audit department, you have a tax department, you have a compliance department. and you have the finance department. So if you have the finance background, you are likely to be in the finance department of an audit firm, and those people most likely audit banks. And as I told you, they are into risk analysis as well, and they look out for the investment of shareholders in this area. So you don't need any special skill, quote unquote, but you just need to meet the entry requirements of, because normally I know they write some aptitude test and some so I think you should need what you should be thinking about is how to get your aptitude test or how to make it through the aptitude test level, and of course show understanding of whatever you have done in school, because they know you guys are coming from school. They know you don't know pretty much what is in the actual industry, but for international standards, you need to know your international standard, fundamental accounting standard. You need the auditing standards as well, and you are going to be doing a bit of taxation, so they're expected to know the basics in the taxation field as well. So no any special skills there.
Okay.
Have
Wow.
I answered
I
your
like
question?
that. Hi, Juliet. Yes, I
Hello, I'm
like where
here.
the conversation is going,
Yeah.
and I wish we can continue, but being mindful of time, I think we should go on with the presentation, and then we'll save time for
Presentation.
the questions. Yeah.
Question. Okay.
But you
I hope
don't
I
be
have.
deterred from asking more questions, okay? Put your questions in the chat, and when it's time, I'll read them out.
So I'm going forward to focus on the accounts office now. So when you come to a typical account office of an organization, what are you likely to see, or what are the different roles as an account person that takes place in an account office? So we are looking at accounting clerks. When you come to a typical account office, we have accounting clerks. Those we call the bookkeepers. We don't call them bookkeepers pretty much these days. We call them the data entry personnel or experts. So they are the people who, and now we do more of accounting software. So they are the people who enter the primary data into the accounting software. Sometimes the receivable officer will double as an a data entry personnel, because he's doing the receivable, is keying in the data as well. So when we say a receivable officer, it's a person who is in charge of taking the income or the monies that come in receivable is receiving. So he's working on the sales or the income aspect of the organization, and that's what he or she does in an account office. And we have the payables officer, someone who pays out money, who gives money out of the organization. So they are paying suppliers, they are paying salaries, and any other payments that need to go out of the organization. The payable officer is in charge of that. And as a payable officer, you may double as someone who may be working on taxes, because of course you would have to know your withholding taxes and know when to withhold and what to withhold, when to charge value added tax, the VAT, when not to withhold, and those other things. So when you find yourself in payables, you are going to be doing a bit of taxation. Then we have the budget offices. Every organization, or if not every, most organization have yearly budget, what they expect to spend in the year. They have budgets to help them, to help guide their expenditure or help guide the way they spend their resources. So when a department bring an amount or bring something to the finance people to pay, the budget officer would check the budget and see if this thing has been budgeted during the year. And if it's in a budget, how much has been budgeted, to ensure that people are not overspending or doing unnecessary buying, things that may not fall within the budget of the organization. Then you have the payroll officer, someone who works on salaries. Sometimes the payroll person can be doing the same work as the payable. So payroll basically is paying employees and paying their PAY, that's their tax, to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Then you have people who are in the management area, the finance manager or the director of finance. they look at putting the accounts together. So the financial management manager may oversee the finance, the payable officer, receivable officer, budget officer, the payroll officer, and review their entries into the system. Because of course, someone is putting in the data. There should be someone there to look at whatever they are putting in the system, because we all know garbage in, garbage out. So the finance manager exercises oversight over all these people. And the director of finance is the rep of the account office. He communicates between management and the account office, giving them quarterly or periodic briefing on how the company is doing financially. And he puts together the accounts of the company and also prepare for audit. You can also have someone solely responsible for taxation issues in the account department. So I spoke about the account department, and here we are in the audit firm. So if you happen to find yourself in the audit firm, or you are planning of being in an audit firm, you can find yourself under tax consultancy, where you would be going out to file taxes on behalf of companies. Some companies outsource their tax functions, so the audit firms take that responsibility, prepare their returns every month, they go and file on their behalf. You also have what we call tax audits. Sometimes companies will ask you to come and audit their taxes to see if they are doing right by the GRA. So you don't wait till the tax GRA comes and do a tax audit on you, and you would have been exposed to penalties and interest. That's more grievous. Then we have what we call due diligence. There's a department called the due diligence department or the compliance department. They look out for companies who want to probably increase their share capital, flow shares to the public, or a company wants to sell, a company wants to buy another company. That company can call an audit firm to do a due diligence on the company they intend to purchase, to see if what they are reporting in their books are ideally a true reflection of whatever is happening in the company. And of course, annual stock takes are something that's very common in the audit firm. Christmas, when people are in the house celebrating Christmas, as an auditor, you are in someone's store somewhere taking stock, because we do stock take at the end of the year, and auditors are supposed to supervise the stock take. So there's some of the things you are going to be doing if you intend being in the audit firm. So some of the audits you would be doing, we have something we call value for money audits. We have financial audits, operational audit, and compliance audit. When you find yourself in an internal audit department of an organization, these are some of the audits you will be doing for the organization. Are people putting their questions in the chat box? Because my slide is not, it's just a few, will be done soon. So I'm just, in case any question comes to mind, you would want to put it in there, or maybe you have an interaction after the session. So as an accountant or an account person, skills you need to possess, okay, aside knowing the book by heart, passing your exams, you're expected to be very analytical. So you must have analytical skills. Then you must also know your accounting standards, what we call the IRFRS, okay? You can't qualify as an accountant and not know your IRFRSs. It's unacceptable. Because any interview you would go to, you would be asked IAS 16, IAS 17, IRFRS 6, all these things, IAS 2, IAS 1. There are things you have to know on your fingertips. And some amount of tax literacy. There's no excuse. Because I know even in the university, you treat some form of taxation, I think for a semester or something. Some of these things, you don't see the importance, but you need to take them seriously, because you can be asked questions around pay as you earn as the employee, income tax, corporate taxation, withholding taxes, VAT, the NHIL levy. Now we have what we call the COVID levy. All those things, you'd have to know them so that when you are asked, you don't go and disgrace yourself. Then we have what we call regulatory requirements in the Ghanaian industry. So as a company, what is expected of you? What's your regulatory requirement? You need to file your accounts 4th month of the following year with GRA, with Registrar General. You know that you have to pay corporate taxes 25%. As a sole proprietorship, we have requirements of you as an external company. So you also have to know these things so that you are all rounded in case they have to select between candidate A and candidate B. You should be the one because you need all this information. You don't choose and pick as to the ones you want to know and the ones you don't want to know. Then we have what we call the specialized industries and their requirements. Reporting in the real estate industry is a bit different. Reporting in the insurance company is a bit different. Reporting in the banking industry is a bit different. So though we have general acceptable accounting standard, how we treat investment property in the real estate company or how we treat inventory, IAS2 in the real estate is different from how a normal company would treat their inventory. So you see the buildings, we treat building as fixed assets in a normal company when the building belongs to the company and it meets the definition of IFRS 16. But to a real estate company, the buildings are inventory. You have to know some of these things. And the banks too, their reporting is different. So depending on whichever industry you want to go, you have to know the special requirements of these industries. It's very paramount. Then I would like to share one thing with us as accountants. We also have to digitize our profession, or what I call digitizing your skill. It's not all the time that you want to go and sit in someone's office and be opening books or punching calculators or paying salaries. There are times where those of us who want to chart the path of entrepreneurship, you can digitize your skills. So I, for once, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about all things business, all things taxation, all things compliance. So people through the videos contact me my email for questions or things they would want to know. I charge them for consultancy fee before I provide them with those stuff. Those are other ways you can also make money as an accountant aside the orthodox ways of doing things. You can also go into bookkeeping. You don't need a company or a building to be inside for people to know you are providing bookkeeping services. You can just make flyers, post on your social media platforms, or word of mouth marketing to people that you do this or that. And trust me, someone may need you one day and he'll put you on a dial. So I told you my presentation is very short. I would like to do or have a discussion with my audience. I think I've said a lot so far. So if anyone wants anything or wants to ask any question relating to the topic, then I am open.
Okay, you can go. We have some few questions here, but you can finish up. Do you want me to read the questions to you? Some questions came through through the registered participants. So I want to pull that out. One most interesting question was it's from Nicholas. He was like, what would be the best combination after a BSc in mathematics and chartered accountancy?
I can tell this. What's his name again?
From Nicholas.
Nicholas, I can tell you there's no formula. It's not a straight jacket. Okay, after accounting, I need to do this. Unless, of course, you are convinced in your head where you want to go. But oftentimes, after qualifying, you ask yourself, what next? But realize that through work and through practice, you will develop interest in a particular area. You may be drawn towards probably taxation. You may be drawn towards, some people even go and do law and go into investment law. So some people go and do CIP and charter as tax practitioners. So it's not a straight jacket. I can promise you that sometimes you can finish ICA and rush and go and do something and realize that, oh, I didn't even have interest in that after all. So I think the worst is you can do a master's, because the master's, um, should I call it generic? You can do a master's in financial accounting or finance and see where your interest will steer towards. Because most often people go ahead and just do things because they want to power up the certificate, and you realize after 3 years, 4 years, you don't even have interest, okay, in that area. So I think experience for me has been the best in deciding where I want to go in the long term. So that's what I can say.
Okay.
Actually, that was satisfactory. If that's what he wanted to ask him.
There was another. I don't know. I don't think the Nicholas that asked the question was the same. Is the same Nicholas that we have on the chat right now. We have Nicholas. Is it the same person?
I'm the same person, please. Yes, I'm the same person.
Are you okay with the answer?
Yes, madam, I'm okay. So I was kind of thinking that, you know, after the qualification, then is it necessary for the accounting and finance, or you can just go into an energy economics, you know, something else, just to expand your scope, you know, for the market, because the market is expanding. You can't just be stagnant with just accounting. Should you expand your scope, or just because you are tailoring a certain career path, should you just go forward with all that?
I feel your sentiment. I, for once, I'm doing a master's in petroleum finance, okay, because I went into taxation and I fell in love with oil and gas taxation. So I want to do more in the oil and gas field. You see what I'm talking about? It's good to diversify, but you need to diversify reasonably, strategically, so that you are not all scattered around the place. You can't pin two and two together. But I am for diversification. You have a mathematics background, so the energy economics or whatever sounds like a good idea, but you also want to ask yourself if your interest is in that area. You get it?
All right.
So it
Thank
doesn't
you
look
very
like
much.
a cliche.
All right.
Okay, the next question, same from Nicholas. Would you want to ask the question again?
That is what I just asked, and I think I'm okay with the answer.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Another one from. Okay, thank you, Frederick. Frederick said, with the rise of the fourth industrial revolution, what are the skills that are needed to be a good accountant in our current and future economic landscape?
So I can tell you right now, it's not just okay to be an accountant. You even have to have some leadership skills, something like presentation skills. Accountants, normally we laugh at ourselves. All we are interested in is the figures, but we are moving more into managerial accounting, with decision-making account area. So you'd also want to get a flair of being able to have both your presentational skills match your figures or your accounting skills. And taxation is an industry which is coming up pretty fast, and it's also an expensive venture. There's potential cash in that industry, so you would want to, but unless of course you have to be certified, because the new law says if you are not certified, you can practice or consult as a tax consultant. So of course you'd want to get certification in that field. You can also go into finance. There are so many branches of accounting right now, and I feel people should not limit themselves to just accounting and finance. Okay, so that's what I can say. So you can research on yourself, by yourself, which other areas can I go into which are still related to the accounting field, and see which one will stir your interest. and lean towards that one. Because after ICA, I for one don't see why you should go and do masters in accounting and finance. Aside the thesis, there's nothing in there. You haven't done
If
an ICA.
anyone wants to contribute to the conversation, please do. Okay, Juliet is actually ready and fired up to answer, to have like an interactive conversation. So please don't be shy.
Okay, can I come in?
Yes,
Please
please.
go on.
Okay, I'm Dennis Mensah. My name is Dennis. I'm an audit associate.
Okay.
I've been in audit firm for about 2 years.
Okay.
And then currently I'm not in Ghana.
Okay.
I was working as an audit associate. And then I had a scholarship to travel out of the country.
Okay.
I want to ask you about the statement of affairs.
Okay.
You know, in audit firms, sometimes some of these small clients, they approach the firm and then they say we should prepare statement of affairs for them. The year has ended and then the company was not in operational, so they need some statement to submit to GRA.
Yeah.
To file their tax returns. Yesterday I was here and then I had a call from Ghana from a friend. I think he qualified this year. And then he was asking me about statement of affairs, that if I have a template of statement of affairs, I should send it to him. Because the year has ended and the company want to file their tax returns. But the company was not in operation for the whole year. And then the response that I gave him was that since the year has ended, statement of affairs, because statement of affairs is prepared when the year has not ended. And statement of affairs is for a specific purpose. So if the year has ended, and even though the company was not in operation, you can still go ahead and prepare a financial statement, just that certain items will not be in the financial statement. But you can't prepare statement of affairs when the year has ended, a full year financial statement, and call it statement of affairs.
Okay.
That was the response that I gave him, but he wasn't convinced with my response, and he was thinking that I don't want to give this because in the degree or in the university system, what we know is that statement of affairs is prepared for a company that is not in operation. So even though the company will be in operation for so many years, but because it's not operating, they think they can just prepare a statement of affairs for them.
Okay. Are you done? Are you done with your question?
Yes, I'm done.
That's really interesting. I work on statements of affairs for my clients all the time. And I get the point you're trying to, when you're dealing with the GRA, okay, you know what we have the quarterly payment of taxes. And you know we are supposed to pay the corporate taxes at the end of the year. But because government cannot wait for you till the end of the year to pay your taxes, they introduce the quarterly payment of taxes. So the assumption is that you are supposed to pay the tax on your profits, but you haven't made the profit. The year is not ended. You couldn't ascertain how much you've made. There comes the statement of affairs at the beginning of the year, where you are throwing in an estimate, or depending on past figures. Okay, you are telling GRA that I envisage to make so much at the end of the year, looking at my income and my expenditure. Then whatever tax you get on that estimated profit is what you divide into 4 and use to pay your taxes. You get it? But if the year has come to an end and you have your actuals, then it's no longer a statement of affairs, but you are preparing an actual financial statement, as you said, and you are determining your actual tax liability. But of course, it will depend on the requirements of the tax authority. Okay, if you are now going to raise an assessment, you can't send a financial statement. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
if
understand.
he's now going to raise an assessment, then he would have to go with the statement of affairs. And it's unfortunate, some of the GRA people do not know these things. So you go there and they are making unreasonable demands because this is, I quite say it's a norm. It's what it's been happening. So you need to give it to them and just go your way, basically. So though you are not wrong, it may depend on the circumstance your friend finds himself. Or
actually, he said the year has ended and the company want to submit. The company want to fire.
He wants to file. Was the company in operation? Was the company in operation?
The company was not operating. The company
is not operating. Then he's filing a nil return. Okay.
Yes.
If the company is not operating, then what we call you file a nil return. So I don't see why. Maybe the client asks for a statement of affairs. Okay. So he also wants a statement of affairs, but that's where you come in and you advise the client on what he needs to do or what he needs not to do. I get your point. Tell him that if the company is not operating, he's looking at filing a nil return. Because if you haven't operated, what are you paying the tax on? Tax is supposed to be paid on profits. You get it?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. And my second question is on partition.
Okay.
I'm
listening.
This issue, I was working, and then because the client want to pay less tax,
okay.
PAYE or CIT.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the year, it's a one-man company, so the director decided to include certain personal expenses as a business expenses. Decided to classify certain personal expenses as business expenses, which I know is against Section 130 of the Income Tax Act, that personal expenses cannot be included as business expenses. But because you want to pay less PAYE, he includes them. So my question is that during audit, when you identify during the vouching, going to the ledgers and other things, certain personal expenses were classified as business expenses. You are able to pull all those expenses out, and then maybe you pass a journal to add it to the director's salary, and then you compute a new PAYE on the salary, the new salary that you will get, and then find the difference between the old PAYE that was computed by the company and it was paid to GRA, and the new PAYE that you had, and then you strike the difference between the two and give to the client as a tax liability. Or will you expenses out and then add it back when you are computing it your CIT for the year and say these are excluded, especially be a business expense. I just want to know the treatment between whether if a director classifies personal expenses as business expenses, you can add it to the director's salary and then compute a new PAYE and find the difference between the two PAYs, and you add expenses when you are computing a CIT.
Okay, so if you are talking about expenses, then you have no business adding it to the director's salary, because clearly there's no correlation between salary and expense, the business expense. He wants to reduce his tax liability by reducing the expense. So what you do is you add back the allowable, the personal expense that he included has to be added back to the profit and get what we call your adjusted profit, and take out your capital allowance. Then you get your actual or your correct tax. You don't add it to director's salaries. It's not done. Of course, unless of course he was increasing director's salaries, he has not actually earned, unless probably the treatment of the expense was added to director's salaries. even that one, it wouldn't hold. Just add it back and tax it accordingly.
Okay. But the issue was that, because you want to pay less tax, it's actually this foreigners, this Lebanon
No,
people.
excuse me.
When they come
We're recording this for we're going to be for learning purposes. Okay, so please don't mention any name, any organization. Okay.
Okay. So because maybe the person wants to pay less tax, personal expense, so the person can decide to say he's going to, or he's entitled to a small amount of salary at the end of the month, and then certain personal expenses like house expenses that in another circumstance that they shouldn't be as a business expense. The person just decide to include them in their business account. So if you are working and you see that, okay, they are taking money, so why can't we add to your normal salary so that we can compute the PAYE on it?
That is, however you describe it, okay, that is not a truth.
You pay the PAYE on it.
Are you listening?
Mm.
You don't compare what we call apples with how do you call it, oranges. These are different things. So in as much as you think you are salvaging the situation, that is not the correct treatment. I've audited this foreign companies, blah blah, in quotes before. Most of the time that is what they do, and it's the responsibility of the Ghana Revenue Authority to fish these people out. You work for them, you are on salary. You want to challenge them too much, you lose your job. If you are not comfortable, you look for another job, you move out. You get it? You do not go and add expenses to the director's salary and think you are doing anything right, because the tax rate on the graduated scale are somehow lesser than the actual corporate tax, depending on whichever bracket the person falls. So at the end of the day, you may still add it and still be underpaying taxes. So it's either you advise them to do the right thing and they can decide to do it or not. That is left to their prerogative when they are exposed to a tax audit and they're asked to pay penalties and interests. I'm sure they'll learn from their mistakes, but if you don't add it to their salaries thinking you are doing anything better, that's not a treatment. You get it?
Yeah. Okay. So there's one more. This is the last question because we have exceeded our 1 hour time, and it's from Frederick. Can you tell us more about the professional accounting bodies like CIMA, ACCA, and if one is to become a member of one of these professional bodies, is it likely to improve one's candidature in those high-paying jobs? Ali, tell us where the money is, eh?
Where the money reside. Okay. Yes. CIMA is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountant. What I can tell you is I can't tell you much, but you owe yourself a duty to research on these bodies, see what they are about, what their qualification requirements are, and see if you have an interest in them. CA, we all know, is an Institute of Chartered Accountants. Then we have the ACCA, which is an international version of the CA we do here. Then you have the CIMA, we even have the CFOs, we have the CPAs. You have to educate yourself, quote unquote. Look out for these membership institutions and see what they are about, the cost involved, their certification, the exams you have to write. And after your research, the one that you think you find more attractive, you go after that, because professional qualification is professional qualification, but each has its role to play. I don't know what role you want to play. So when you read on them, then it gives you a better understanding of what you want to do. Then you can choose which one you want to pursue.
Okay. All right. So this is a wrap. So any Julia, do you have any final words for us? words of wisdom about?
I wanted to add a little, if it's possible.
Sure,
That's
sure,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
All right. So our world of accounting and taxation is now moving away from the paperwork and all that.
Yeah.
I just would want to put up a little suggestion to whoever wants to come into this field that, you know, let's also take our accounting software also seriously, because even with the generation of financial statements and all that at the moment, it's being done by this accounting softwares. So then if you get into somewhere and you don't have these basic skills, you know, then it's like you are lacking. You can put yourself onto further studies, but then it's also more good when, you know, before getting there, as we are studying for these accounting bodies, these professional bodies and all that, we also acquaint ourselves with, you know, accounting softwares. At least if you can't, one or two, you know, with the tallies and the QuickBooks, it helps. So for whoever is on here and then, you know, we are into this field, let us also take the accounting software seriously.
Thank you.
Thank
Spot
you
on.
very much, Nicholas, for faithful submission. Appreciated. Okay, so my last word, what I want to say is accounting beyond the classroom. Yes, when you go to the field, the organization or your boss is expecting more from you than whatever you are taught in the classroom. So it's no longer an excuse of I don't know. There's so many information on the internet. Whatever you want, just Google it. So if you're going into an interview, be it a specialized industry, be it an area you don't know, don't be frightened or don't say, okay, they didn't teach me this one in school. Go onto the internet and go and research and do some reading. You can call people in similar industries to give you some coaching here and there, and you would be fine. And one thing which is very important is value addition. You have to continually add value to yourself, either through professional development, CPAs, or short courses. Don't sit there with just your CA and get rotting. It's a continuous work. If you want to meet me at the top, because I'm clearly going to the top. And thank you very much for having me this evening. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Kafi and the team, for the opportunity, and hope to do this again. My social media handles are Juliet Ahiagbede on Facebook. And
Please share the next page. It's in on your next screen to share.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are my handles.
Just
My Facebook is Juliet Ahiagbede. Instagram is J Ahiagbede. And my business page is Set It Right. So thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you to Juliet. Thank you for accepting to be a coach for Kraado community members. And definitely you will hear more from Juliet when it comes to taxation and accounting. So this is it for tonight, and we'll catch you again later on. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.